It is show time. I've been waiting for a while for this one because I wanted to wait for the details to come out. We're talking about Brothers in Arms tonight. Hey, make sure you get into the building and leave a like. I'm checking to make sure that we can actually see and hear everything right now. Can we hear everything? Press a 1 if you're in the building right now and you can hear everything. And you can press a 1 in the building if you actually enjoy the show as well. No, press 2 if you enjoy the show. 1 in the building so you can hear everything. Because if y'all press 1, I don't know if you can hear everything right now. But then again, if you press 1, that means you can hear everything. Confusing, right? Wow, that's a glitch in the matrix. I wish I had my soundboard. I need to get my soundboard back. I hope you're enjoying the new setup. It is a bit of a change, but we're going to have it kind of set up this way, I think, for the rest going forward. Make sure you can donate to the channel if you can. We're going to talk about something that's crazy today. This is actually a part 2 to a video we did a long time ago called Black Men Don't Even Like Black Men. If you're new to these discussions and everything like that, then you're not going to understand. You might be a little bit, whatever it might be. If you're not completely understanding what anything is about, or Tyre Nichols, or you just have no idea, what's happened is another black man has been killed by the police, and the world is revolting, or at least New York in this instance is revolting. It just so happens that this particular instance is different because the policemen, all 5 of them charged with murder, who you see in the thumbnail, with the exclusion of one that's blocked out because of the border on the right-hand side, are black. So this is a black-on-black incident. The difference is, once again, though, these are supposed to be the justice of protection and the justice of serving to the community. Those police officers that have the greatest, ability to change a situation, and also the greatest responsibility as well. With great power comes great responsibility, Spider-Man's aunt said, right? Our Uncle Ben. This is a very, very, very interesting case. Very interesting case. And there's so many different ways to take this, because no matter what way, honestly, at the end of the day, you take this, it's a negative light on black males in this case, because what you have is a very specific set of incidences that are very bad for the black community, right? You already have a community of people in the black community that don't trust police, and you've had a multi-billion-dollar movement pushed against police officers in that Black Lives Matter. Now, Black Lives Matter obviously was because George Floyd ended up dying with a knee on his neck because the officer Derek Chauvin did not get off of his neck in time, and as a result, the rest of the world, or the entire world, ended up demanding justice for George Floyd. We went into the discussions of the situation, to his ins and outs, his personal background and history, his character association, some would say assassination because they just hate this channel. And we talked about a lot of those things here and found out that George wasn't necessarily the one that they should be building actual monuments and statues of. No, I kid you not. There are monuments and statues of George Floyd. I get that he ended up having a wrongful death, but still, George Floyd, once again, should not be the one that we are immortalizing for all time. Listen to the old streams and you can hear some of the things that he did. Break-ins, putting a gun to a pregnant woman's belly. It's crazy. Nonetheless, there was a lot of people that felt and they connected to that issue, particularly of minorities. And so there was an entire defund the police movement. Diamond Silk Soul Black with the $2 super chat coming in strong. Diamond Silk Soul Black, $2 super chat coming in strong. I appreciate the donation and the support, my dear. She's enjoying the show. Hey, if you're enjoying the show, make sure you can super chat or donate directly on Cash App or PayPal, cashapp.com or whatever /TruthSeekers, TruthSeekers. I appreciate all the support. Helps us to stream more often. If you don't feel like directly contributing to the channel, you can just go to GotSerum.com. We still have our coffee time bar sale going on right now. We have a limited supply left, so make sure you buy if you do not want to get left out. Without caffeine. I guess you can't say in the storm necessarily, right? Without caffeine. If you don't want to, if you want to, you gotta have caffeine in the morning, right? You gotta have your stuff. If you don't want to feel like doing that, if you don't want to go that way, then check out the Unicorns and Dragons. Also, be on the lookout for the new flavor of soap that's coming up soon. It is remarkable. It's actually one of my, well, they're all my favorite. I'm biased though. What can I say? So the black community hasn't trusted police officers, and we've been going against. We've had this entire narrative that black men, even though there's literally 12 of them, 12 black men killed, it was like 12 black men killed by police unjustly in 2019. Multi-billion-dollar movement behind it. So defund police, defund police, defund police, burn Minneapolis down, burn every city down, defund police. We don't want policemen anymore, even though we all acknowledge here in the black community, or at least on this channel, that the most violent group of men in America are, to be quite fair and honest with you, black men. Right? That's just the way that it goes. At least amongst black men. And that's an important statistic to remember, that we're talking about black on black right now. Now, the actual official case says this. Memphis, Tennessee, as we wait for video footage, I saw the video footage. It is very, very, very graphic and very brutal. And let me address this. I saw a couple of people that were saying, oh, I made a short saying, hey, hey, RIP. And I was almost saying it in a joking manner, right? And don't get me wrong. It was a very brutal beating, and so I've seen comments. This is a picture of him right here. I watched the video, and the video is amazing because the video shows him literally resisting, and I knew that he was resisting. I'm not saying that this was right of a situation for this to happen because he was resisting, but I knew that he would be resisting, and in that case that there would probably be some kind of physical altercation that would have happened, or he might have gotten hit over the head. And once again, I want to go ahead and say and caution you, I'm not going to show the video on this channel. We used to do stuff like that, but we got to slow it down a little bit. I want to caution you before you do watch the video, because it's bad. It's very bad, and they shouldn't have done that to him. But the point still stands, and I want to make this very effectively clear, that if you don't comply, you run the risk of potentially losing your life when you deal with police, especially if you are a black male. I don't know why, or some guys have a hard time really understanding this. If you don't comply and there is aggressive force being used against you by police officers, irrespective of if they're wrong or right, or if you're wrong or right, at that moment in time, you are under the power of the pen, as my father used to say. What is the power of the pen? Well, if you go to your job, the people that sign off on your paycheck or deposit the money directly into your account at this point are the ones who have the power of the pen. And irrespective of how you feel that particular day, how you're feeling that particular morning, you need to go into your workplace with a clear and well thought out train of thought so that you can make sure that you can continue the power of the pen, so you can continue your lifestyle, right? And it's not necessarily like that all the time. Not everybody has those arrangements in certain situations and things like that, but we have to conform to some extent when we have jobs. We have to conform to some extent when we're in society. We have to conform to some extent. So these two ideas of police officers being bad in this case and him not necessarily needing to have been killed are non-mutually exclusive, right? Which means, these are mutually exclusive, which means that they are non-compatible, all right? Oh, maybe it's non-mutually. I always fuck that term up. Jesus, I just looked up the term right before the stream and I still can't remember it. It's just a hard term to remember. This is the cat right here, man. I'm going to pause the video on his pictures because it looks like he was somewhat of the alternative punk, not necessarily as threatening of a person or a lifestyle, right? Got to pause right here yet again. He definitely wasn't in type of gangster persona, yada, yada, yada. But when they pulled him over, he was panicky. And apparently under the police report, they said that he was pulled over because he was recklessly driving in the road. Now, recklessly driving in the road could be a pretty serious offense. Depending on how recklessly you're driving, somebody could lose their life. I'm not sure if he was intoxicated or under some kind of mind-altering effects. I don't think that they said that there was anything in the system so far. But it definitely seemed like he might have been on some sort of spectrum to some extent, or at least very, very, very intoxicated with some type of mind-altering substance. Now, it didn't seem like he was, but the way that he was acting was so out of character that I was like, bro, why would you not just get on the ground? Now, I will say that the Memphis Police Department, the black guys and the black officers that pulled him over and took him out of the car were extremely agitated with the guns pointed at him when they pulled over to him, which suggests to me and lets me know that he was probably running. He probably didn't pull over immediately. He probably kept driving for a little bit. Once again, I need to make sure that I explain to you that these ideas are, let me see, mutually exclusive. God, mutually exclusive meaning. Mutually exclusive is being related so that each precludes the other. Okay, so that means that they're incompatible. So if they're mutually exclusive, that means that they cannot happen together. So these are non-mutually exclusive ideas, meaning that he shouldn't have been killed, but he also should have complied, right? Comply, don't die is the saying at this point. Comply, don't die. And then you can argue what you want to argue in court once you get unjustly or justly locked up in jail or are waiting for your sentencing. It's much better to live to fight another day in this case than to try and resist. Now, in the video of him, he was resisting quite frantically. Like, he did not want to go to jail. He wanted to go home. He was like, I just want to go home. 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 And the black officers were very, 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 very brutal against him. They said things like, we're going to whip your ass. We're going to beat you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I'm going to break your arm. We're going to fucking kill you. I mean, it was brutal, man. It was very, very, very bad. It was almost reminiscent of the Rodney King story. Now, I want to say this. I've always taken the position, and here on this channel, we've always taken the position, and I got to get back to the comments, and I got to make sure that I'm reading the comments because there's super chats coming in. Hey, I want to thank everybody for donating on and offline the channel. We had a donation that I didn't read from a Cash App donation, a $20 donation on the last live stream. During that, I appreciate that Cash App donation so much. And I'm paying all my debts to everybody I owe as well. Now, I want to say this. This is an interesting case because we've always taken and supported police always on this channel, right? We support law. We support the justice system because we know that in the black communities and the community, there's a lot and there's a prevalence of issues, right? There's a lot of stuff that goes on. If you are part of, I would estimate probably at least 1/3, maybe 2/3 of us, or maybe all of us have lived our lives in poverty for 1/3 of our lives or more. And most of us is going to be the childhood that we live those poverty-stricken lifestyles from, right? If you're 35 years or under, you've probably experienced poverty if you're black. For 1/3 of your life or 1/4 of your life or some time or of amount at some point or another, because it's almost unavoidable or escapable unless you have, valuable community or family or old money, to be quite fair and honest with you, which doesn't happen that much because we control less than 3% of the wealth in America. There's an economic disparity that happens, right? So this case is fascinating because what it is and what it's representing essentially is, like I said, something that we support on this channel, which are police officers going rogue. And the typical narrative is a white officer that's going after a black guy, which would suggest that we need more black police officers, which would suggest that we need more brothers in arms, which would suggest that we need more representation or people that look like us. But y'all have to remember that we're talking about black men here. We're talking about the most destructive, the least identifiably united, the least economically earning, the least educationally educated, the most self-hating, the most self-woman bashing, the most everything we should be first in, we're last in, the most everything we should be last in, we're first in group of people that have ever existed on the face of the planet. Now, I'm not saying that to try and type in on any type of critical race theory narrative, even though it might suggest and sound like I am. I'm simply pointing out and stating the facts of this case. Once again, if we lose volume or something like that, I'm sorry. I apologize. Good to see Organic Black Dimitri. So we got Ted Gunderson in the building. We got a lot of people in the building. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't good black men because there are good black men and they're on this channel and we appreciate them. However, what I am saying, though, is that if you don't have certain checks and balances in play and in system, money, and we've talked about this on this channel as well, or value isn't necessarily translated immediately to one's job or how much currency you own or whatever it might be, because value at the end of the day is still going to be who you are, what you represent, what you stand for, and what you add to your community. So we're speaking about the community yet again and talking about the black community, or in this case, the black police officers that were arresting Tyre Nichols. So if we need more representation, then it'd be a good thing, or I'd say it'd be a good thing that we have black police officers, right, in this case. But let's go ahead and get into the crux or the narrative of this show. I'm going to get my notes out and start to read to you my discovery, my findings, or how I started breaking down this entire situation, this entire fascinating situation. As I bring up my notes, I'm going to read the article. Memphis police say they initially pulled out Nichols for recklessly driving around 8:30 the night of January 7th on the East Rains and Ross Roads. His family said he was on his way home, and the initial stop was less than a mile from his house. Well, less than a mile from his house, we know a lot of incidents happen. What's up with that? A lot of incidents happening within a certain amount of time or a certain distance from your house, less than a mile from his house. So he wanted to get home quickly. We can assess that from the situation. He wanted to get home quickly, and he was trying his very best to do that. So he probably panicked. Understandable, I get that. However, you have to also understand the mind of a police officer, and a black police officer that might have grown up in Memphis. That's something to remember. We're going to talk about that later. Did the race of the police officers have something to do with the way that they treated a black man? Well, guess who spoke about that situation? Fox Soul. Fox Soul spoke about that situation. I got to go ahead and give Fox Soul some credit right here because that Isaiah guy, he talks about some real ish. And we're going to get into that clip as well. We're going to get into it right now as soon as I get into my notes. Who was on that show? There were some black police officers there that talked about it a little bit. I was thinking about how often black men have the propensity to bring up the issues that they've had with just about every black woman in their lives, especially on these spaces, y'all. The dating and the gender war. We talk about the red pill, the manosphere, and the black manosphere, and this, and that. So this ties into it a little bit to some extent because I always hear complaining about just how bad black women are, as if there wasn't a multi-billion-dollar movement against police officers and just how bad police officers are. Yet the manosphere complains about women, right? It's an interesting dynamic of what happens like in real world or offline and then what happens on YouTube. You don't see any coalition or collective movements of black men trying to online take down or use some sort of legal counsel or build some sort of sub-online type of, I don't want to say not militia, but, some online type of movement for themselves, protect black men, whatever it might be. Black Lives Matter, to be quite fair and frank and honest with you, was started by a European and women who I believe are lesbians, right? So that's not of the issue or the matter of the fact. It's just it is important to notate though, right? It seems like the major conversation in black males and black men's life right now is how bad black women are, right? So we come back to an issue of just how violent the black male can be. And it just, once again, it's police officers, whether it be the black mothers who raised them, the black grandmothers, the black women who told them that she was married even though she didn't have a ring on her finger and denied, the black women that cheated on them. The fact doesn't go unnoticed by me that a lot of the issues that they complain about would have been solved if men who cared about their community and their women in the community before them. Pay attention here. We're going to get deep into this. This is going to be the mindset of a possible black police officer that grew up in Memphis. This is it. Very interesting. This is very fascinating. In essence, what I'm saying is that a lot of the time when black men are upset at their black mothers for failing in whatever regard they're upset at, it's just everything at this point. Fuck. The true issue or root cause can always be traced to this. It's a lack of, whether it's a lack of money, a lack of economic infrastructure, protection, empathy, good childhood. Most of the time, every single complaint that we can hear black men speak of goes and it traces back to a lack of, right? No person on human earth can operate on full capacity if they lack the fuel or equipment needed to perform. This is just a fact. What do I mean? I've often referred to organized crime as permissible in some instances, and it's almost looked at positively by society in some instances as well. This is why the mafia and things like that are glorified. All right? Pay attention here. This is going to tie in. This is all going to tie into each other. I promise you it is. Pay attention. Society respects criminal organizations that give back to the people. We see this in every aspect of the world. You can see this in all kinds of criminal organizations in Southern America. We can see this in all kinds of criminal organizations in Europe, whether it be the Italians or we can see it in New York. We can see that if they give back to the community, then the community does value them and they'll even sing their praises and blessings. Right? Pay attention here. If the camera and the audio goes out, I apologize. Hopefully the audio doesn't go out. Movies have been made to carry over the legacy and the legend of men whose communities flourished from dirty money. And to be fair and honest with you, most big businesses in America are started from dirty money, like most big businesses. Cities are built. Las Vegas was built off of dirty money. New York was built off of dirty money. Chicago was built off of dirty money. Right? Fast forward to today, and all these cities are integral, monumental brands to the image of America in a beneficial way. Do you understand what I'm saying there? The cities that started dirty off of money, or dirty Vegas, or the city of sin, the city that started dirty, Chicago's, and they had the Al Capones, whatever it might be, now are very, 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 well, I mean not Chicago, very, very, very important cruxes of the identity of America. The Statue of Liberty is in New York City. or New York, whatever. Let's watch a video really quickly here. This is about the mob. Fascinating video as we get into this.
By the start of the 19th, own personal piggy bank with increased experienced businessmen. By the start of the 1950s, the stage was set for the American Mafia to make Las Vegas their own personal piggy bank. With increasing federal pressure, the mob needed a new playground. Sin City would not disappoint. It was the beginning of a new era in crime, one that would change the city of Las Vegas forever. During the 1950s and 1960s, mobsters helped build the Sahara, the Sands, the New Frontier, and the Riviera. Money from organized crime was combined with funds from the more respectable investors. Some of these included Wall Street banks, union pension funds, the Mormon Church, and the Princeton University Endowment.
So the mobsters operated on a completely different level, as far as organized crime goes. It's a fascinating study. That's all I want to show you there. And I'm bringing this up for a purpose once again, right? Remember everything that you just heard about the mobsters and put that at the back of your mind for a second. Now, the federal government had begun to crack down on the mafia members because of the immense amount of violence that had started happening. People were turning up dead as far as mafia members were going left and right. So they had to do something and started locking guys away. The mafia members started moving a bit differently. Fast forward to today, and here we are. How does this translate to the street element? There's always been a spirit of defiance that this country has been founded in and founded on. There's always been a spirit of defiance in the white man. So I'm not trying to at any point make or paint a certain image that black men are just so horrible and the white man is perfect. No. The white man has always had a spirit of defiance. That's how they were able to conquer the world, essentially, right? And as far as criminal elements go in organized crime, it's even going to be termed or dubbed white-collar, quote-unquote, crime for certain things. You can even steal money a certain way, and it's respected enough in certain jurisdictions, courthouses, and judges to only be jailed for, a year or two. We're talking a lot of money. That's not uncommon. How does this translate to anything I'm talking about on the street level of Tyre? How does the white crime translate to the black crime? How does this even translate to Tyre? Stay with me. It's understood that the mafia members were able to generate large sums of cash and build cities from the ground if business was good, okay? If business was good for mafia members, they were good. You understand that? If everything was going good for them, they were straight. A1. Plenty of officials and police officers turned their backs on many occasions because the benefit of letting a mob member go would extend further than ensuring one's own safety in life, and family was protected. But if left with the opportunity, they might be able to capitalize on it in a business sense. And it might go on to provide better structure like a city like Las Vegas. So it was seen as a benefit. White crime was seen as a benefit by lawmakers in a lot of instances for the most major cities that we have on this earth. Okay? Need you to understand that. This is why I'm bringing in white crime and black crime. Two different levels here, unfortunately. Now, there were some black criminals that did help contribute to black neighborhoods and to major corporations as well. There were some black criminal syndicates. Frank Lucas was a very powerful criminal, black criminal, black man. That was Denzel Washington in the movie right there, right? I still haven't watched the movie, but Frank Lucas was one of those guys. He contributed a lot. He did a lot behind the scenes. I don't know if the movie showed that, but he did some stuff, right? But on a general level, we're talking about two different elements here. Now, to break to you how different these elements of organized crime are between white and black, I'm going to tell you kind of how they used to make money in some instances, because the mob didn't go around just shooting up everybody, y'all. The mob moved very smart. In New York City, especially, and somewhat less so in other places, the mob controlled most of the construction and the unions. So in many construction companies, even when working in an open market, a mafia probably owned the company, which was often non-union, right? So it said it could underbid competitors. Oh, wow. Okay, so let me read this again. Okay, the mob controlled most of the construction unions and owned many construction companies. So even when working in an open market, a mafia-owned construction company was often non-union. Could underbid competitors who were usually using union labor. Wow. The mob, like any other interest group, also uses political contacts to ensure that favored companies got a piece of local, state, and federal contracts. So from the entry level, the mob was making sure that during its operation, they not only built physically for themselves and their immediate heritage, but they also paid and gave backdoor payments to those who looked out for them so they could continue operating, right? So white-collar crime and organized crime was a fascinating. I think it's kind of not a symphony, but it's a dance, if you will. A dance, if you will, that a lot of people danced right off into the sunlight and made a lot of money on. Another way, and I'm going to get into the black, I'm going to get into the Tyre, back into how this ties in, right? Another way was that, oh man, they would tell their workers to go on strike so that the company using the workers couldn't get the job done, which meant that they were losing money and time. So the people that needed the workers had to go negotiate with the mobsters. Stuff like that, extortion type stuff. Let's move to black crime, okay? Let's move to black police officers and talk about this. All right? This is the crux of the conversation here. This is what it's all about right here. Why did I just get done talking to you about the mafia members and their benefits to society and them working with the police officers and them this and them that? I'm not saying that police officers don't work with people today. I don't know how much of that actually happens, but I'm pointing out this particular instance, especially if you've seen the video. If you've seen the video of the beating, then you kind of are going to be looking for some sort of answers as to like, why? Whoa, what happened? What happened to make them do that to him? Why didn't they just arrest him? Why were they so angry at him? What did he do? Is there something else missing from the video? No, I'm going to explain it to you. Black crime. It's a tough thing to say and speak on because after 60 years of criminal elements in, pretty much free America, I guess you can say, we own 3% of the wealth. So I spoke about the mobsters and them doing the stuff. These were Italians. These were, different. I don't know what other races they are, maybe Russians. I don't know. They were Europeans, and they were just different, and they built for themselves on a large scale very quickly. They organized quickly. They got into business quickly. We've been leading crime as black men for the past, I don't even know how much time, and we still as a black people own 3% of the wealth in America, which means that there's been very little actual communal progress or very little actual building or giving back from any of the crime that's been associated with the black community, which also means that most of the crime that's being had has to be done black on black. There's a propensity for black on black crime in the community. Now, this is natural because of geographic location. This is going to be natural because of the proximity effect. The people who live closest to each other are probably going to be the ones that are going to be, getting into it the most. We understand that, right? If I miss any of y'all's donations, I'm so sorry, by the way, too. If I miss any of y'all's donations. Let me make sure I didn't. Yo, I'm not even seeing any of the comments, which is crazy. Okay, let me see. I want to know why it's showing. Hold on a second. Oh, it's because I'm way behind. Okay, cool. I'm looking at myself here. Jesus. All right. This is why I don't watch the live stream, because I end up watching myself. I'm just watching myself. All right. So this has been politically loaded, all sorts of agendas, all sorts of everything as far as this police issue, right? but most of the crime has gone against the community for the most part. There's a lot happening in this instant. The police discussion is a hot topic. I know that people are going to be one way or the other, Democrat or this or that. So I'm not here to try and separate or get you to understand the difference between both sides, yada, yada, yada. The discussion isn't about that right now. Everything in our community, yet again, tells us and black people, everything in our pop culture tells us as black people to buck against the police, which is what they're doing right now in New York. They want to defund the police in New York right now. All right? They're wearing, defund. I'm sorry, not New York. Well, in New York they are too, but they're wearing defund police or MPD, all this other different types of stuff right now. So it's natural for us to want to buck the police officers because it's almost seen like the modern day slave catchers type of thing, right? We want to buck the police. Oh yeah, like the stream if you haven't already, y'all. Make sure you like the stream. I know there's not that many people in right now. It's kind of not really a popular topic, and it's late. What are you gonna do? Right? The police have been demonized so much that now the departments have a hard time acquiring new recruits, let alone retaining veterans. Police officers are quitting like crazy, right? Now, the only thing more stigmatizing and polarizing than a white police officer is a black police officer in 2023, as far as the woke political social justice movement goes, right? Black police officers. Can you imagine how black police officers felt during the BLM riots and movements and stuff? They're like, dude, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? It's like all the police officers during that time just became white when George Floyd died. The very essence of law and order is not wanted in a lot of our communities. So you're a black person. Pay attention. You grew up in the black community. Situations, circumstances, and events in your life led you to a fork in the road. There's a few different types of police officers, right? And you've probably met most of them. You have the police officers that are very intellectual. You have the police officers that are a little bit more stern. And then you have police officers that are, very brute. And they just don't take any no's. You're going to jail that day if you got a warrant. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's been doing this for a long time. He does not feel sympathy in the same way that you and I do, right? So you have a few different types of officers there. Bear in mind that these officers come from more than likely situations and environments that are a lot more conducive to a healthy lifestyle and their upbringing, right? White officers. Not saying they can't be racist, not saying they didn't grow in abject poverty either. I'm just saying that most of the time, it's a pretty tight-knit community and tight-knit club. A lot of them are service veterans and things of that nature. People who have either security, whatever it might be, military, whatever, right? But if you're a black police officer, more than likely, you have experienced a certain level of trauma already at a certain moment in your life. Because I go back to what I said at the very beginning of the live stream, in that you probably, if you're watching this live stream, have spent a third in your life or a childhood or at least a few years in very poor conditions due to something outside of your control and just being, quite frankly, black. Not having any type of community to turn to, not having any type of masculinity or masculine men or God-fearing men, not having any type of morality, not having any type of unity or professionalism, not having anything to turn to, depending on where you are and where you're located, right? So you've already experienced life in a very traumatic nature, but the difference is how you've experienced that trauma is the same people ultimately that you're going to be policing. You see, you hear about, obviously, stories on both sides here, and it's happened on both sides. But this kid wasn't shot. He wasn't whatever it might be. He was beaten to death. He was beaten to death with severe anger. He was almost beaten to death like it was, like a Ku Klux Klan rally, if I'm being honest with you. That's what it seemed like. It was like you were watching a straight up lynching. Now, yet again, he didn't comply. So he kind of brought it on himself. He did bring it on himself. He should have just gone on the ground and went to jail that day. But why was there such visceral violence? Why was there such hatred? It's because those police officers grew up in Memphis. These guys who you're looking at on the screen right now grew up in a very effed up environment, right? They grew up in a very destructive environment. And so when they ended up getting to that fork in the road and deciding that they wanted to help their community, the same people that ended up producing that destructive environment, the same group of men that ended up essentially causing maybe potentially a lot of trauma in the childhood and in the community that these police officers were more than likely from, are the ones who are now going to be on the opposite side of them as their enemies. So one thing you'll never see is you'll never see a majority group of black officers patrolling or policing the white community. You will, however, see the inverse. You will see white officers patrolling white and black communities, not prioritatively, whatever it might be. I don't know what we're looking for right now. You'll see both of those happening, right? But you won't see the black majority patrolling over the white communities. It just doesn't happen like that. More than likely, if they're an all black or a majority black police force, they're going to be in an all black or more minority area. So they're already antiquated with the issues that might be happening. They already understand what might be happening. They already might get what might be happening. The reason I'm bringing this up is because of two different things. Whether you think the police officers were right or whether you think the police officers wrong is a fascinating conundrum. If you think the police officers were right and they handled the situation correctly, which not many people, would or will think that they're right. Thank you, I am, for the $20 super chat. I just saw it pop up and I was like, ooh, I don't know what I was going to say. I am coming through with the $20 super chat. I am coming through with the $20 super chat. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate that. CloverTech in the building. Man, y'all make sure to subscribe to CloverTech. So this is fascinating. CloverTech, it's good to see you, man. This is fascinating, and I really want y'all to try and grasp what I'm going to say here. All right. Let me make sure. I'm trying to see if I want to read these notes. I read these part of the notes. I don't think I got the rest of my notes, so I'm trying to remember what I was saying. So the judge from the response of this kid, right? And I'm going to go back to this video here and just while I'm talking. The response of the police officers to this kid, painting a picture of what happened, as the news article said. Black men don't like black men. And more than likely, if you're a black police officer in Memphis, that feeling of not liking black men is literally your job at some point or another. What do I mean by that? I don't mean it's their job to hate black men and go beating and killing black men. No, I don't mean that. But you have to understand that if you're a black police officer in Memphis, your main criminal group is going to be black men. Not only that, but double down based off of your life and horrific experiences, whatever it might be of growing up in the community. At this point in your life, after 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38 years, you probably are more tired of black men than most white people are because of the proximity effect. So what am I trying to say here? And pay attention with me here. Pay attention with me. There's an issue between white people and black people of culture. Whenever you ask white people, what they might have a hard time or not want to get with a lot of the time, it's that they say there's an issue with the culture meshing. And they're right. Our cultures are very different. And a lot of the time, black people don't give a fuck about assimilating or don't care about assimilating. Black men especially don't give a F about assimilating to anybody's culture. It's a part of our culture to buck the system. As a black police officer, they know that better than anybody else. Black men already don't like black men. How do you think black men treat black police officers in Memphis? Let me take this a step further. How do you think as a black police officer in Memphis, going and living your entire life amongst the most degenerate, arguably, Memphis got some, let me show y'all some Memphis niggas, man. Memphis got some niggas. I don't mean to say that just to say this, but yo, all right, let's watch the raw streets of Memphis. I'm just trying to paint a picture for y'all.
I got shot in the head right here at this park.
What? Who got shot in the head?
This is why I got shot in the head. I got shot in the head right here at this park.
What the hell?
South Acres, we in this bitch, and you know number big splash. You know what I'm talking about?
Yo, I'm just gonna say this. Hey, respect to this nigga. I know he's doing dirty things. He's not giving back a damn to he ain't giving back shit to the community. But he's rocking probably a good 50K, 65K. No, that's probably like a 1 in 100 worth, 100,000 worth of jewelry. While the nigga behind him is changing rims. What in the actual? Is that Tory Lanez? Hold up. Yo, my niggas, man. My niggas. Hold up, bro. Is he changing rims? This is it right here. This is a classic.
What's up with it?
South Acres, we
Changing the rim.
TK on your hoe, TK on your street, TK in the farm, TK got a lot of guys that's killing and shit like that. I think like, bro, niggas just need to go out of town, bro, and explore the world. And you come back home, you gonna be like, hell nah.
Southside 2 where I'm at, brother.
All right, let's go ahead and stop it there. So the police officers are entrenched. We'll keep it going because I know y'all want some visuals. We'll keep it going. The police officers are entrenched in this type of activity, and you as a black male who at some point get tired of these type of negroids dominating your hood. Now, I'm going to say something, and I'm going to go ahead and I got to take this left field. I'm going to pause right here, and I wasn't going to talk about any of this tonight, but I'm going to go ahead and bring something to y'all, man. I was watching something, and this is the most fascinating thing that I ever discovered. All right? Maybe it's not time to do it just yet. Maybe I need to wait. I might wait. I'm going to go ahead and wait. I'm going to wait on that. I was going to show y'all, but I'm going to chill because that's the next live stream. Amazing, man. Let me get back to this. So you're a black dude, black kid. Let me tell y'all and give y'all some stories about me growing up, man. Because of the way I talked, because of the way I handled myself, because of the way I did certain things at a certain age, I was ridiculed and made fun of and, physically assaulted by a lot of the little black boys when I went to church and when I went to different places. I didn't interact with black boys or black people really at all until I went to church on Sunday and Wednesdays. Other than that, I was in a white neighborhood and I was going to a private Catholic school. I was in a Catholic school. So I didn't have any interaction. But my slight Wednesday and Sunday interactions was enough to really drive, and I mean, I'll be honest with you, me to essentially damn near doing what I'm doing now. It's formed me into the person that I am today. And I'm not bitter. I'm not hurt. I don't hate all black men. I just know that most niggas ain't about shit, especially collectively. So I don't give him the time of day. Nor does the white man. He prefers to invest in the black woman. So when I had my incidences coming up and I got into my scuffles coming up, I realized that because I was different and I wasn't a part of the pop culture, that there was the predominant level or layer of pop cultures who controlled the power and influence in the areas, or who are the most physically dominant, intimidating, who roamed the most physically dominatingly, intimidatingly in these areas and hoods, those are going to be the ones that are trying to check me and figure out who I'm about. And there's nobody to fucking stop them. Ain't nobody to stop them. Nobody's going to say anything to them. To be quite fair and honest with you, most people fear, right, confrontation. Look, niggas will bang out. Niggas will fight. Niggas will shoot it out. Niggas will bang out over anything. Niggas will shoot it out over you stepping over their shoes or looking at them wrong. Right? So you got this level of visceral hatred that exists to this day. Go walk up to 5 black men and try and go say, hey, what's up, my brother? It's good to see you, man. 2 or 3 of those black men, more than likely 3 of those black men are going to be like, oh, what's up, bro? What's you know, and now, it's not necessarily, I'm not saying they're going to be like, bro, get the fuck away from me. They really this, but you might get a nigga that's looking at you like, bro, oh, no, bro, you know, I'm not really with all that. If they're one of these types of cats, you can bet your bottom dollar you're out of there, right? You're out of there. They're not going to shake your hand. They're going to look at you like you're crazy, like you just slapped their mama or something like that. These types of dudes, these types of niggas, man, are like monsters with shoes on, dude. And I'm not just trying to say that to say that. I'm not saying that there aren't bad people in all races, but these type of goons in Memphis are like monsters with shoes on, dude. These niggas do not play, and they don't value anything of their community, which is why you can look at the gas station right now, the gas station that they chill at 24/7, and it looks dirty. You got car oil stains on the front. You got this, you got that. The trash is overflowing. If you look on the top right-hand side, it's just a myriad of reflection of based off of how they view themselves and their communities. This is the raw hood and the raw streets of Memphis. We're looking at Memphis right now where Tyre died. It's commonplace and common source to kind of walk around with a ski mask in certain places because you just never know when you might get into it with the op. Looks like this kid got a slash on his forehead. He's slinging his nose so he knows it's slimy and it's slat. That means he's a blood. It's just always a very, very, very volatile situation and environment when you grow up in these environments. And when you don't want to participate or partake in or be the gangster or be that type of person, you face persecution and retribution just like I did. Now, I was a strong kid, and I ended up fighting in church in the middle of a church service, and everybody was like, oh, my God, y'all can't fight, y'all can't this. I was crying, fighting, trying to punch this kid because he did something to me. I pushed him, and I was trying to cry. I was crying and trying to fight him. And then the other time I grabbed this other kids because they were all making fun of the way I talk. So if I didn't have if I didn't have my father in my life at that time, if I didn't have the ability to really have somebody that taught me emotional restraint or how to understand or how to be solid in myself or whatever it might be, I might have had a grudge that was way more serious that started to define who I was at a much earlier age, right? And I could have been a much different person than I am today. But even as and I'm not too rational a lot of the time, but sometimes I am. Even as a rational person I am today, I understand that, and I even feel inside my own heart, I'll be honest with you, some of the things that I feel, some of the things that I say. Even in my own heart, I feel some of those things. What are some of those things I'm talking about? Let's look at another hood. That's not even hood. They're like at a building right now. I don't know where they're at. All right, here's a Memphis Crips hood. Let's check out the Crips. I gave up on trying to befriend niggas. I don't try and friend black men anymore, y'all. I'll be honest with you. I don't try and build community or brothers with black men anymore. I stopped that shit a long time ago. We go back to talking about the environments, talking about where you grow up in and not having anything. You can't have something and growing up in an environment that has nothing because those people that have nothing are going to come back and take it away from you. You can't try and be living for something amongst the pop culture of degeneracy because that degenerate pop culture is going to make sure to do everything they can in their power to keep their power of degeneracy amongst the pop culture and to keep you out of it. Now, some of the cats the hood protects, and shout out to the hoods that do protect the kids that need to be in school, that do protect, that do build a little bit. Shout out to the gangsters out there that actually do go and put forward some of the dirty money into salons and barbershops and whatever it might be, because you got some thugs out there that are doing that are trying to actually keep it on a 100% straight selling only, no violent type now, but it just most of the time that doesn't happen. But you have some cats, and I've heard some stories, so personal stories. As a matter of fact, I'll be honest, the place I got there was a place that I got retwisted or looked into getting my hair retwisted at. I discovered later on by talking to a lot of different people that place was built off of dirty money, right? And so it's a salon, and they have barbers that are working there and women that are working there and everything. And yeah, I met with the people, and they were really cool, and we just got to talking about YouTube and a bunch of other stuff, and they told me about themselves, and they were trying to start a podcast and stuff like that. So it happens. I want to say it happens. I've seen firsthand it happen. But the reflection of owning less than 3% of the wealth in America is indicative of it not happening enough. There's not enough unification amongst black men. Now, we're talking about Crips right now. We're talking about Bloods. We're talking about Hoods. Obviously, we're talking about black men killing each other and naturally going after each other. It's sport, music. I get all that. Entertainment. At every aspect, we've talked about niggas going after niggas and black on black crime and violence. But yet again, we are, for this live stream, making sure that we're referencing the black 5 police officers that grew up in this element, right? Some of those police officers are these dudes. I'll be fair and honest with you. Just like the mafia, I think that there are black police officers that bang. Just like the mafia, there are white police officers that are in the Ku Klux Klan. You better make no mistake about it. But whether you think that some of those police officers are guilty of being from the streets, from the gangs, and being from those criminal environments and not having the ability to rational oneself as a police officer, or if you think that they were actually just police officers, maybe a bit perturbed, it's an issue when it comes to policing amongst ourselves. Why is it an issue when it comes to policing amongst ourselves? Because we naturally, as black men, don't police our communities in the first place, right? The pop culture primarily is to buck the police and to buck snitching and to buck this and buck that. That's changing thanks to Charleston White. That's changing thanks to some rappers that are trying to change the narrative. That's changing thanks to some media that's independent and not a part of the mainstream media that's trying to change some narratives. That is starting to change. But you'll notice that the mainstream media pushes defund police. Let me tell you something. Look at the screen right now. They blurred this out. What you're seeing right there is an AK-47. It's blurred out that you're seeing right there. Do you think that the gentlemen in this photo are of 100% constitution and good morale to just do 100% legal activities, not 99.9% of the time, if the police were to be non-existent? No, I can tell you so much that there's men of every race that are going to be out there taking what's theirs. That's the nature of the beast. That's the nature of power in the most wealthy country in America. We have a lot of stuff that people want, and a lot of countries would love to come take it. A lot of people would love to come take the nice thing that you have inside of your house as well, of all races. But the proximity effect and the numbers show us that the most likely person that's going to come to take something from you are the people that have the least, which just so happens to be, right, black men. Now, the numbers in jail also go to show that we're very close. We're leading as far as incarceration per capita and charges go and things of that nature. Getting back to this discussion and this topic, however, I understand that the white man's held us down and that some niggas are in bad situations. I've mentioned, and this is why I made sure to mention the mafia 30 minutes ago in this live stream. The mafia, however, built Las Vegas, New York, Chicago. So if we're giving passes to criminal organizations and elements, I need to see more from niggas after 75 years of banging. I need to see more from niggas after 60 years of banging. There's got to be more. There's got to be an official building that niggas can bang in. There's got to be an official Crip building in every single major city that's repping Crip in every single state in the nation. If y'all don't have a Crip building where you all can go and organize amongst each other, then it needs to be more it needs to be more united. But it's still, even in criminality, we're at the very bottom of the totem pole. Even in criminality, the Asians surpass us, the white man surpasses us, and the Mexican surpasses us. The Mexican man. Even in criminality, black men are at the very bottom of the totem pole. So, I mean, my God. Now, was there another? Okay, I'm making sure I didn't miss a super chat. I'm making sure I didn't miss anything. I don't think I missed anything. So even in, this is, now stay with me. If we lose audio, we lose something. To make sure it's coming to me. Donate to Super Chat. Donate to Cash App. Somebody put the mods. Can you put the links in the Cash App? The best mod in the world. Shout out to Organic Black. I know I say that every time, y'all, but if you are a YouTube content creator, you understand how important moderators and the mods we have on this channel are. They're unbelievable, dude. Let's slow things down for a second. Make sure you head over to gotserum.com if you haven't checked it out already, and pick up your coffee bar before they are sold out. We have the new flavor getting ready to drop soon. It will be on the front page, and it is going to be fire. That's not a hint. That is not a hint for what the flavor is. I meant that with no pun intended. There's water in the background of the screen right now, and so I think that my subconscious was looking for the opposite there. Make sure you get up and do a stretch, do some jumping jacks, 5 sit-ups, whatever you got to do to keep yourself tuned in for the next portion and the next layer or the next part of our podcast. Make sure you leave a like if you haven't already. There's 40 people in right now. I want to thank you for being here and for supporting the channel and for watching. We're talking about the 5 black police officers that grew up in Memphis. We're talking about the cultural differences. We're talking about a lot right now. Why would they do this to this black man here? Why? What is it? We've often covered and discussed black men's need for retribution against black people. You see online right now this gender war conversation that is black men going for fucking millennias on end about how bad black women are. Black men have the ability to focus on a particular subject and fail to actually nail the actual problem of what the issue is. If you look at the black manosphere, all of their videos are about women and mothers and this and that and the white man and the court system and this and that. I swear to you, they blame everything. If aliens came and invaded us right now, the aliens would receive blame for taking the black men out of the home. TBMOH is the acronym that you used to see a lot more of. It's not to be confused with the other acronym. I can't remember. The Most High, TMHIC. Are there any TMHICs in the building? THMICs. I forget which one it is. Y'all get a kick out of that from my OG members. That's all black men talk about, right? Online in this red pill space. This is becoming so big that the red pill is going mainstream now. It's become so big. Kevin Samuels took the message so big that it became mainstream, and these red pill conversations are mainstream now. Now, the crazy part is mainstream media is fighting out against them, which is why you see the Destinies and the other people talking out against it. You have people on YouTube talking out, people on Good Morning America talking out. Let's, for a second, just look at this video by Fox Soul.
And welcome to The Factor Uncensored. We've never strayed away from uncomfortable conversations. Tonight is no different. We're talking about how some black officers, law enforcement officers around the country, may be and may have been tougher and uglier to people of their same race, other black people. Case in point, Tyre Nichols, or Tyre Nichols. Nichols died days after taking a beating from 5 now former Memphis police officers, a place that I lived a long time ago. Now, the officers stopped him for reckless driving nearly a month ago. Police have not publicly released a video showing what all happened. His family watched a copy on Monday and compared the footage to the 1991 beating of Rodney King. All 5 officers have been fired from the force. We know this is not all black officers, but some. Some are unusually hard on other black people. All of my guests serve or served in law enforcement positions. Joining me now here on The Factor Uncensored is Constable Herschel Smith, retired HPD Sergeants Kenneth Perkins and Todd White. So, Constable, let's start with you. You and I had this conversation just Tuesday, and you said this is something that you've always known, and in fact, you wanted your son, not just because of black officers, but officers in general, out of Waller County, where you are a constable.
Exactly.
You sent him to Florida.
Well,
Did y'all hear that? This black officer wanted his sons out of a black officer ran city and moved them to Florida. What?
you know, a lot of times, you know, as African American, once we get stopped, you know, a lot of people, they are nervous, they're afraid. You know, I myself, I'm a police officer, and even when I get stopped, I'm traumatized sometimes when I get stopped. You know, and because I don't know who's going to come to my car. You know, and I've been in situations, things happen when I was in the military.
You were a constable elected in office, and you found yourself pulled over on the Beltway, under arrest by another constable's office.
Right.
Tell us about that really quick. And what was that like for you?
It was very traumatizing, and you're very traumatizing. And when I got out of the car, before I got out of the car, I was afraid. I kept my hand on the steering wheel. I kept looking in the rearview mirrors. I saw guns at me, and I'm wondering what in the heck going on, you know?
You're a constable in your unit.
In my unit, in my patrol, in my uniform.
That's crazy.
All of the above. But they did not have any respect for me as an African American, you know? And once I told them I was elected official, they even ignored that. They ignored all of it.
And what was more hurtful for you, the worst person on the scene was a black deputy.
Well, it was African American, and he the one, they told him to put the cuffs on me. I said, why are you telling him to put the cuffs on me? Y'all put the cuffs on me, you know? And he was like eager to do it, just eager to put the cuffs on me.
I told y'all the story about when I worked at Chili's, and it was a great paying job. This is what started my hustle, you know, drive. This is what started me wanting to, you know, do something outside of, you know, traditional. And there's nothing wrong with doing traditional. Traditional is great. I'm about to be right back at the traditional, trust me. I had a manager that it was just a horrible person, black guy. And Greg hated me. Greg Smith hated me with a passion that I just could not understand. I never did or said anything wrong to this guy. I never really said anything. I would walk, and he would walk in, and he was always grumpy, but he took a particular disdain to me, man. I guess he was probably jealous of me. You know, I was, good-looking kid, and I was cut. I was pretty swole. I had a lot of muscles back then. I was big, dude. I'll show y'all a picture sometime. And he just hated me. And I remember thinking to myself, like, why does this nigga hate me so much? I don't even talk to I'm a happy dude. Like, I want to be friends with everybody. Why does Greg hate me so much? Greg joked around with the white people. Greg joked around with the white bartender ladies. Greg joked around with Scott, Ryan Jensen. Shout out to Ryan. Ryan was a cool ass white dude, man. I fucking loved Ryan Jensen, dude. Well, you know, I didn't love him, but he was awesome. He was dope. Ryan Jensen was awesome, man. He was like a big nerd. He'd be like, "Hey, Jonathan, look at table 3," and he'd be like, I'd look at table 3, and he'd be like, "Look at their chips." And the chips would be like stacked up really high or something like that. And he'd be like, yo, Ryan was stupid. I'd be like, what's wrong with you, Ryan? Like, you giving him I don't know. Yeah, that's hilarious. And so that was Ryan Jensen. Cool as hell. You could be late. Hey, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Just go ahead and get your table. I got your table some chips. Man, Ryan Jensen was a manager that you wanted to work for. You wanted to be like, man, my bad, Ryan. I'm sorry, man. Don't worry, I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna take care of it. If he needed you to stay, man, Ryan, you don't have to ask me, bro. You know I got you, Ryan. Come on now, right? Don't even ask me, bro. Whatever you need. Man, it's so hard to find managers like that. It's tough, man. Managers are ass now. But Greg, let me get back to Greg. One day I walked in and I just knew that I wasn't gonna have that job for very much longer. And it was gonna be because of Greg. Not because of my failure to perform, not because of anything, but because Greg fucking Smith just didn't like me. The nigga just didn't like me because I was black. There were 3 other black dudes. He was ass to them, but he was the biggest ass to me. Let me continue on with this. This police officer said, he was looking to do the white man's bidding. This is from the horse's mouth. I'm not going to get into that too far.
And then once he put the cuffs on me, he attempted to put me in a car. I said, you're not putting me in a car. I haven't done anything wrong. I refuse to get in the car with him.
Sergeant Perkins, I've known you for many years. When this subject comes up.
Now, Sergeant Perkins says he has not experienced this. I haven't listened to the third guy, however.
Well, I'm kind of like Perkins. I hadn't seen it before, but I guess I was a little naive because at this point I'm a criminal defense attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And I defend clients, and I find that officers, to my surprise, fabricate evidence, lie, and do a lot of things that I didn't believe they did when I was a police officer. I'd never seen it as a police officer. As a defense attorney, I'm seeing it. And I'm seeing it happening to blacks. I don't know if it's more of a socioeconomic problem. I think that's a part of it, because blacks tend to be disproportionately in poor neighborhoods. And then the police, you know, take advantage of them because they know they don't have the recourses to fight back. And I've seen that happen, but...
Now, this is not just white officers, though, right? Who may take advantage.
No. Matter of fact, I defended a case where it was a black and a Hispanic officer that, you know, stopped the guy, no probable cause, put him in jail. We went to trial and got the conviction overturned, but he was a poor guy in a neighborhood, in a black neighborhood, and they stopped him because he said he's walking in the middle of the street. Well, in the poor neighborhood, there was no sidewalks. Everybody's walking in the street. It was two ditches. It was a street and two ditches.
Right.
So, you know, because they lacked probable cause, they just threw the catch-all out there that they throw in the poor black neighborhood. Oh, he's walking in the middle of the street, which gives them carte blanche to just stop whomever they see walking down the street. The hell with the Fourth Amendment.
So, two different incidences, two different stories. Once again, the guy on the far left-hand side said, I haven't really experienced that at all. I haven't seen that at all. So take that into account for what you will. From what I've seen, though, and from what we've talked about for so long, you know, and we know that black men don't like black men. Black men don't like, a lot of them don't like and don't feel like there is any type of community, brotherhood. There is no type of nothing that we as black men share. And what I mean by this is this. You'll see marches for Tyre. You'll see this, you'll see that, you'll see this, you'll see that. But you will never, ever see 100%, 80%, 70%, 60%, 50%, 40%. You won't see 30% of black men from this day and from this instance, from that tragedy or from any other tragedy that happens in the future, going forward, unifying and saying, you know what? No more. We're going to start to go ahead and radically build. You know what? No more. We're going to go ahead and start to radically change things. What do I mean by radical here? Let me show y'all. I wasn't going to show y'all this. F it. I'm going to show y'all something. This blew my mind away when I saw this. There was a story about some Nevada ranchers that had to deal with the police. Not just the police, but the federal government. Let me show y'all this. This man's name was Cliven Bundy. I just spit a lot.
A year after a
Cliven Bundy. Yo, man, this is a crazy. This is a crazy story. Hold on a second. This is a crazy story. I watched this entire 40-minute video like I was glued to it. That was a 53-minute video. You got the time.
Okay, so two mags.
If y'all got the time, you need to watch this. It's a video called American Patriot Inside the Armed Uprising Against the Federal Government. And that's exactly what it sounds like, y'all. These white men took up guns against the feds. It happened. And the feds let them go. The feds let them go. We're going to be talking about this on a whole nother live stream. I wasn't going to show it. I wasn't going to cover it at all. It is amazing.
We're active in...
These niggas are not... The white men do not play around, and this is why I say that it does not matter what tragedy happens, how brutally, how enslaved the black man has ever been or will be, they will not unite by 30% of the numbers that white men will unite to. What happened in this situation, and I'll explain it to you really quickly. Let me just...
But the federal government has turned its eyes as modern...
What happened is this. I'll just explain it to you while this video is playing. There were some cattle ranchers who were using just open land to let their cattle go. And there were a lot of cattle. And the feds said, no, you got to pay us for this land, yada, yada, yada. Well, one guy said, I'm not going to pay anymore. They came and took the cattle. And these white dudes went and got the cattle back. Now, this dude's in jail right now. One of the dudes that went and got it back, but it wasn't because of that incident. He's in jail for a separate incident. He's in jail because he was essentially being stupid. Right? But these dudes went, they made one call, and these dudes these white men pulled up with rifles and were ready to go to battle against the federal government.
The next 2 years trying to bring the Bundys to justice. Defiance of court orders.
Situation. I'm imploring upon you. Go south. It was that close.
I've lost count how many done guns. We get many more down here, we're gonna be outgunned.
The SWAT teams knew these guys are out there to defend, and they will whip your ass. We will die.
Bundy! Bundy, come here!
At the head of the crowd, Ammon Bundy confronted BLM agent Dan Love.
Boy, this shit right
Down
here.
there, they were in stacking position.
Second wave.
Hold on a second. I'm just trying to get y'all some good scenes right here.
We obtained video taken by law enforcement that day.
I'm missing the one guy on the bridge.
Some of it has never been shown before.
They were all heading to this wash where the main entrance was to the pen where the BLM held his cattle.
Control RC, I need reinforcements down into the wash.
As the protesters converged on the cattle pen, law enforcement officers from a half-dozen agencies scrambled to hold them off.
Where you want to set up the triage area?
Behind the vehicles right here.
Okay, all present.
They come with horses. You're gonna have to probably want to get in the back of a truck because they'll run you over.
If they break this, we're not gonna be able to stop horses.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Once we were down there, they were
Boy, them horses don't play, man. They used to use horses in battle. And, you know, was in the classic battles like World War, or not World War, what battle would horses have been used on? I don't even know. I need to look at my
and
stuff.
they tased me. That was all caught on video.
Oregon.
To come in as a militarized force against your citizen like this, that's when we, the people, we say, no, this is not what the Constitution stands for. And we have to remind our federal government that we are the power.
People are coming in from out of state now to hold off the federal rangers, and many are armed.
Bringing out the latest from the Bundy Ranch, where the militia has arrived in support of Cliven Bundy.
Within less than a 24-hour period, I got my gear ready and made an 18-hour straight drive down there. And you had people from all over the country. And a lot of the people that I've met were prior military, were still active military in special forces, in different branches. Everybody had a purpose or a reason to come, but it was all based on the fact that they know somebody's being abused and something's not right.
Militias from around the country descended on Bunkerville.
The Oath Keepers, which is this group of former military and police personnel, and the 3 percenters who believe that they are prepared to fight the federal government, much like the colonists were against the British. And so Bunkerville becomes this sort of petri dish of anti-government extremist thought.
It's a different level. Boy, that's why the world respects the power and the authority of white men. They're willing to die. They're willing to die for their freedom and for the progress of their people. Black men are willing to die to make sure that their people stay fucking oppressed. Black men are willing to die to make sure that they keep the oppression and the system and the cycle of the downtrodden going. Now, I'm not saying that black men need to unite in arms and go against the police. No. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying, though, is that if black men truly thought this was such an injustice against one of their brothers, they would be united on an organized front, putting pressure or applying pressure to whatever police district, precinct, whatever it might be, outside, or at least letting them know as a unified front that black men are not going to go for this type of treatment anymore. They'd be in the political meetings. As a whole, as a collective, they'd show up by the 500s, by the thousands to the town hall meeting. If black men really cared and really were trying to make a change, they would be educating themselves more and getting into the law programs more. If black men really cared about themselves and their community, they'd try to actually fight the real enemy, which is themselves. Which is themselves. You see, all black men will do forever is complain about everybody. Everybody, except for acknowledge that they're the worst group of everybody in the world. Black men will never acknowledge that. Never. They'll blame everybody else before they go ahead and put their boots in the dirt and prepare for the real work that needs to be done in whatever situation that is. Black men don't have the conviction to stand strong enough to go against the hood or the gangsters or the this or the that. There are no black men patrolling the hoods or the gangsters community. They run free. There's anarchy and it runs free. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen with white men. They don't let anarchy run free. They control the anarchy. They are the anarchy when needed, right? This is a big difference here. So based off of how they handle, based off of what we can collectively assume of how black men respond to certain situations, regaining power, taking power, whatever it might be, there's a psychological aspect, in my opinion, of a black police officer, which is that of trying to gain power that isn't even there in the first place. What do I mean by that? The main pop culture in the black communities that black police officers in Memphis are probably governing don't give a F about them. Which, if you're trying to figure out and trying to build a better community legitimately in the black community, it's very difficult and it becomes a very futile and frustrating effort to live a life of once on the other side of the fence of black people and then try and do the right thing, and you're still on the other side of the fence of black people or the main black populace, right? Very frustrating thing. So when we look at a situation like this where 5 black police officers beat and killed this black kid, it's indicative of a multi-layer issue of problems within black men specifically, all right? Within black men specifically. What do I mean by that? In this issue specifically, what are the multiple levels of problems? Number one, more than likely, right? More than likely, this attack was an overcompensation because of a lack of power or a feeling of a lack of power in this instance, right? What do I mean by that? Black men have the least amount of power. And whenever anything or anybody, this goes for anybody, if you have the least amount of power, the little bit of power that you do have over the little bit that you can control, you are going to squeeze the hell out of that until you can get every grain and every ounce of power that you can get. That's normal, typical, or that's sometimes what happens in human nature when people when people are in power who might not have had that much power and whatever it might be, and you start mixing with a lot of different, that could be one of the effects that happen, right? Another issue to this is that it's the glaring issue that niggas just don't like niggas. They just don't like themselves. Black men don't like black men, right? You will collectively see more black men unify for negativity than you will for positivity. This is why they'll unite for the millions in the manosphere, even though they claim it's about sharing stories of brotherhood and becoming better and this and that. They'll unite by the millions, by gangs, right? Maybe not by the millions, but that's a bit of a stretch. That's a complete stretch. I'm not going to lie. They'll unite by the millions, though, right? Or they'll fail to unite by the millions for the actual worthwhile progressive movements that we need to be trying to figure out. There's no unification when it comes down to the black men, to the leaders, quote unquote. It's just a bunch of talk and complaining and wanting reparations. There's no work done. There's no actual done, right? No, it's just, oh, well, we got to change. Oh, well, the police are all killing. Oh, well, it's this. Well, what's going to be the excuse in the issue now? What's the excuse in the issue now, right? Now, the 5 officers have been charged with murder. They've all been charged with murder. And they're going to go down for it. A third issue from this entire thing is just the fact that it seems to be that, for whatever reason, black guys, when these videos that end like this with them dying at the hands of police officers have a common theme is that they don't comply, right? Which to me would be indicative of a lack of respect for authority. And in a lot of the videos that you see with these shootings or whatever, they're black guys, which is why, obviously, BLM. The lack of authority is prevalent. Could it be that these officers literally, it was just their day and they said, you know what, we're just tired of dealing with you niggas. Tired of it. They're tired of it. And they beat that kid to death. They did. They beat him to death. Were they so tired of niggas as police officers? Were they that tired of pulling up to the crime scenes and the this and the that they said, you know what, we're about to exercise the power that we got right now so much that it's about to be a crime scene because we're tired of dealing with you niggas. I'll be honest, that played a very large role in this attack. It played a very large role in this attack. The fact that they were 5 police officers and the method of which they used to kill this kid by beating him, not by shooting him, not by this, not by that, not a quick death. It was a beating. To beat somebody to death takes passion. To use your fist, to fight, you have to be either angry in the moment, you have to be something, right? You have to be extremely in order to beat somebody to death, especially somebody that's already being restrained. That lets me know that inside of their mind, they were not thinking very rationally when it came to the arrest of this young man. They were frustrated, and they threw a very, very, very horrible tantrum. They thought they'd be protected because they were police officers, and that's a common trait sometimes in these crimes too. And don't get it wrong or twisted, a lot of the times they are protected, right? Brothers in arms, hey, what can you say? It is what it is. In this case, though, they're not going to be protected. The footage is now out. I would caution you once again on watching that. Let's see here. Very, very, very interesting case. Very interesting case here. So many issues. I hope I've made some sort of semblance of sense, tonight. A little bit. And it's been an hour and 22 minutes. I hope y'all enjoying. Somebody said, let's say some white men don't. I hope y'all enjoying this live stream. We're going to cover more. We're getting ready to talk about that Clive Bundy situation on the next live stream. I encourage you to go back to the footage and the archives and watch some of the old live streams. Particularly black men don't like other black men or black men don't like each other. It's on the YouTube live section channel page on the channel, youtube.com/thehonest truth. Go to the channel, go to live, and then you're going to have to scroll down for a while. It's probably a year and a half ago now. And listen to that video. We bring up so many different types and examples of how we've ingratiated self-hatred in our own culture, community, and what little identity we actually know and have in America. We've made sure to put self-hatred at the forefront of that. Even if it's not outright us talking about kill, kill, bang, bang, it's our actions. Lack of unification. You know? It's the reality. Back to life. Back to reality. Well, listen, we are going to go ahead and wrap this thing on up. I encourage you again to like the video, share the video if you want to. This has been somewhat of a news cycle. We'll be back very soon, and we're going to have a lot more getting ready to drop. Shorts are getting ready to drop. Y'all are going to enjoy those. They're going to be all over the place, and I'm really actually excited about the shorts because they're looking pretty cool. I hope y'all enjoyed this new cool angle. I worked really hard to make it happen for y'all. I want to thank everybody once again for contributing and watching this channel, sticking with us. It's late. I hope that you've enjoyed this yet again. Let me see. You know what? This live chat. Lisa McKenzie says black men are white supremacists. Lisa McKenzie says black men are white supremacists. Interesting there. These chats like just stop popping up after a while. Like I can't scroll and see all of them, which is crazy. I might have to, or maybe there's just no chats. There's probably just no chats, huh? Bella Negro. Black men lack power, so they try to flex power on their girlfriends and wives and children. That's why women being submissive is important to a lot of them. Bella, you just hit it on the head, 100%. You're right. That is the subconscious. And yet again, I don't know if I kind of alluded to that or made that clear when I was talking about it just a second ago, but that is another contributing factor to what I think was happening here. That little power that they had, they were like, oh no, nigga, we're tired of y'all niggas not respecting us. You're about to feel it today, nigga. And they told him that in the video. They said, if you don't put your hands behind your back, they were like threatening. They were like, nigga, we about to, like, dude, they were like, ooh, nigga. They're like, put your hands behind your back. We're about to break your fucking arms. Boom. And they just started wailing on him. I was like, damn, nigga. Whew. And the dude just kept resisting. Man, after the first punch, I'd have been like, all right, we can figure this out later. Sheesh. I'm stupid, but I'm not a fool in that case. We can figure this out later. Yo, put your hands behind your back, homie. What's going on? He was like, no, I want to go home. And they threw him to the ground. They were kicking him in the head, like full-fledged kicks in the head, soccer kicks. Boom, kicks in the head. And he was still consciously resisting. That's why I was like, I don't know if he's on the spectrum or what was up with this dude. He had to have been on the spectrum. I don't think he was, though. I think he was completely normal. But he was acting so illogically, which, yet again, I don't know. We can go back and forth with that. Anyways, y'all, we're going to wrap this thing on up. Tragedy, but leading into our next live stream, we're going to continue this discussion because it's fascinating, man. It's fascinating. And we're going to take a closer look at the Clives. Really, the name of the next live stream is going to be the white manosphere versus the black manosphere. That's the concept and the difference between the two. So I'll give y'all a hint. That's the concept, the white manosphere and the black manosphere, and why the two don't even jive or get along. Is it the cultures? Is it just cultural values and differences? Well, you have family values and communal values that happen in all races. You do, right? Clovertax says, look at the Native Americans and other ancient people that have killed each other for thousands of years. Tribalism does not end at race. It is a human element. It exists in many forms within each race itself. Clovertac, I agree with you, Clovertac. I definitely agree with you. The Native Americans did kill. All races have essentially, yes, killed. The point, and what I would say to you, Clovertac, is this. 2023 now, right? At this point, the Native Americans might be killing each other still, right? But it's not a concerted effort to make songs rapping about killing Native Americans as a Native American, right? It's not a concerted effort to go around the compounds of Native American lands and like do drive-bys or you know what I mean or whatever it might be. Like they might still have incidents and violence, but it's not a part of their pop culture to hate themselves. So whilst I do agree with your point to some extent, I do agree there are some fallacies still nonetheless. Hey, I want to thank you for being and joining us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. We have 46 likes. That is amazing. Thank you all so much. It's amazing to be here with you. Don't miss the next live stream. It's going to be more fireworks. And we're getting ready to crank this thing on up with the shorts, man. I'm going to be everywhere. I figured out the solution and the strategy to getting views and getting subs. It is YouTube Shorts. So you can't beat them, join them, and I intend to. Y'all take care of yourself, ladies. Consider your Second Amendment rights. Gentlemen, that includes you as well. Consider your Second Amendment rights. If you've heard this message a million times and you still haven't gone to the gun store, then I want to really advise you to check yourself. And I'd question you as to why. If you still haven't gone to the gun store and you've heard me after every single night of me telling you that you need to go to the gun store, you haven't gone yourself, then what's going on? Sorry about the flashing. The lights look like they've probably been flashing the entire stream. You know how it goes. I'm trying to get a better setup. Having said that, though, I'm really happy to have been here with you tonight. Thanks for your patience.